Carolyn Levitt crushes the CNN, what's her name?
Kaitlan Collins.
Caitlin Collins, I do not like that chick.
At all.
I'm talking about destroys her in this press conference, you know what I mean?
She
That
repeatedly asks the same question too.
you know how she do every time trying to get you with a got you question, but Levitt handles it well, and actually destroys this chick in front of live cameras. Yo, my name is Marcus Russell.
Alex W, man.
Yo, this is the Marcus Russell Show. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We need 100,000 subscribers. Keep it going. Yo, let's get right to it.
Let's do it, man.
Retaliatory in nature is the argument because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does that align with the First Amendment commitment that you were just talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the geographical identification name server. And Apple has recognized that. Google has recognized that. Pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America. And it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just for people here at home, but also for the rest of the world. Caitlin.
Thanks,
Right there, y'all. It's right there.
Facts.
commitment
Hey, man, proof is in the pudding. So
Facts.
I don't like how Caitlin Collins comes over here and she keeps asking questions repeatedly. You know, she thinks she's above the other people behind her. But I think Caroline Levitt calls us out later on in the interview.
Okay, and then if the president changes a body of water that's in America into from calling it the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, Apple changes the name, Google changes the name. Why wouldn't you get in line? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's like y'all trying to go against the government and
yeah.
y'all trying to turn like people against each other. Like, why? You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with the Gulf of America? That sounds way better than the Gulf of Mexico. Like I've been there. I've been there and I wasn't in Mexico. I was in America when I was at the Gulf of Mexico. So like I love the Gulf of America. Like, why wouldn't you want to get in line? It's annoying. No,
Doesn't make sense to me, man.
stupid.
Let's keep going. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. My
Leave
channel's
it.
in the description.
by President Trump. He said that he and President Putin agreed to visit each other's respective nations. Are there any preconditions that President Trump has that President Putin must do before he goes and meets with him, withdrawing some forces, withdrawing all forces, anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of. That doesn't mean they don't exist. But I was just talking with the president in our national security team. I wasn't made aware of any conditions, but if they exist, I'm happy to provide those.
And on the president himself, he styles himself as this master negotiator. He is now deploying these negotiations, saying that they start immediately. We did hear from the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, though, today saying that NATO membership is not realistic for Ukraine and neither is returning to pre-2014 borders. Aren't they giving away bargaining chips before these negotiations have even started?
Again, I haven't talked to the president about Ukraine's NATO membership, and he appointed several individuals to negotiate on his behalf. He's directly involved in these negotiations as well, and I'm sure if you ask him that question in the near future when you're able to, he'll give you an answer. I just don't want to get ahead of him on it.
And final thing for you,
Come on, man. At some point, it's someone else's turn. You know, Caitlin Collins wants to spam her up with questions. And she's just looking for a moment for her news network. She needs to let other people have a chance to talk.
It's like 50 other reporters in there.
You know, like just give someone a chance, man. I'm getting tired of this, but I love Caroline Levitt. She's patient. She's able to answer these rude questions
And
or absurd questions, and she just articulates herself very well whenever she
swear
speaks.
to God, and I don't like questions that threaten the integrity of like politics.
Yeah,
Like if you ask like where do we hide our bombs? Like
yeah,
I'm like I'm not going to tell you. I don't know.
exactly,
I don't want to speak for him. You know, Pete is out there. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Marco Rubio is already out there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? In Russia dealing with the Ukraine situation. You know, and then the fact that Trumpito is cool with Putin, it's like now you want to say that he's a dictator. Nah, he's cool with other politicians on the other side of the world. Y'all never
exactly.
was cool with him. And you could never talk to him.
Couldn't,
No other president could ever talk to him. You know?
couldn't. Let's keep going, guys.
That part.
which White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office? and the diplomatic reception room last night?
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus, many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But isn't it retaliatory in nature is the argument? Because
She's still going.
Still going, yeah.
The AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does that align with the First Amendment commitment that you were just talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the geographical identification name server. And Apple has recognized that. Google has recognized that. Pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America. And it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just for people here at home, but also for the rest of the world.
For the world.
Thank you, Caroline. The prisoner exchange with Russia coming at
Finally,
the same
someone
time
new.
as the president is now announcing negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. The timing of that is hard to ignore. Was Ukraine discussed as part of this prisoner swap?
I was not involved in those discussions, so I can't comment on whether that came up or not. What I can say is that this was a very good deal for the United States of America and for the rest of the world. As you know, we have confirmed that the Russian who will be returning home very soon, Alexander Vinnik, was a non-violent crypto criminal, and as part of this exchange, he has forfeited more than $100 million that he obtained in that illegal crime. And in exchange, of course, we got Mark Fogel, who is a middle school teacher who kissed the American soil, but kissed the ground last night when he returned to the United States of America. It was a great deal and a great day for our country, and I think everybody, regardless of political affiliation, agrees with that.
And was Russia...
Really quick, guys, you have to respect. If Caroline Levitt doesn't know the answer to a question, she's going to tell you she's either doesn't know or she wasn't briefed on it. You know, I don't know why CNN, this woke network, gets to sit front row and spam questions nonstop. You know, it's completely biased, and she's not going for it.
I think at this point, politics is just a hustle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It used to be a time when like the people who were journalists literally wanted to get answers so they can convey them to the people. And so now that the journalism and politics are both hustles, like people just don't want to play. But I want to say this before we keep going. America used to be called the United States of Commerce.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A million years ago. So like if somebody was a journalist, called themselves a journalist, and they continue to call America the United States of Commerce and not the United States of America, then they couldn't be respected journalists when we haven't been called that. It's the same way with the changing the name from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. You know what I'm saying? You should respect the new name. It's not like we haven't changed. You know what I'm saying? That the Louisiana Purchase was something different before it even. Come on, do your history, y'all.
Come on,
you know,
man. Especially if you're gonna call yourself a journalist, please at least
speak
have
the
some
facts.
Yep, have some facts. Let's keep going, man. End the video out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Made aware ahead of time of the parameters that the administration and Secretary Hegseth was going to be announcing today?
The NATO perimeters? Yes. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask Secretary Hegseth in the Defense Department on that, since he announced them. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. Just to be clear, so when we're listening for a shift in position on U.S. policy, should we only listen to the president and maybe not the Secretary of Defense? Because what he outlined today would represent a shift in U.S. policy.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I speak for the President of the United States behind this podium, and I will let him discuss that.
Can you tell us any more about the next hostage releases? I understand another American's coming out today.
Sure. I'm glad you asked. It speaks to President Trump's deal-making ability, and we can confirm the safe release of one American and two individuals from Belarus, one of whom worked for Radio Liberty, immediately. Out of respect for the privacy of these individuals, their request, we have no further details to announce on their identities, but we can confirm that one American was released today, and it's a remarkable victory on the heels of Mark Fogel returning to America last night.
Hundreds of hostages have already been released, and he's only been in office not even a month now.
Yeah,
You know, Biden was doing this for years, and nobody came home.
exactly.
So I don't know why they have a problem with somebody's finally getting it done. Okay, and then they want to keep on trying to say that Trump and little Marco Rubio's policies are different. You know what I'm saying? Because these Democrats was hoping so bad. Because you remember when little Marco was running, him and Trump really didn't have the same views. So
Exactly.
that's why they kind of let him go in the confirmation hearings, let him be the Secretary of State. But like at this point, he's still on the team. So he might have said one thing, but then if Trump says, "Okay, this is what we want to do," you know what I'm saying?
This is
This
what
is
we're
what
going
we're
to do.
gonna do.
Yep.
Of course, he was in the Middle East trying to work out the releases from the Hamas releases, and now they done worked out some Ukraine releases. I don't see why they're not just all praising Trumpito.
I don't know, man.
So simple. He's doing his thing. He's rocking.
Republican. That's why he's a Republican. Let's keep going, man.
Who the U.S. might be
Crazy.
releasing in exchange?
I don't have details on that at this moment. I don't have details
See?
on that at this
Doesn't
moment.
have
I do
details.
know
At
that
least he
these three
knows.
individuals have been released and are on their way home to their respective countries. Ouija.
Caroline, thank you so much. Can you explain how President Trump envisions the war in Russia and Ukraine coming to an end? Does he expect Ukraine to hand over all the territory in question?
Again, these negotiations are ongoing. I will allow the president to divulge any red lines that he may set, but I think as deals in the past have come to fruition, the president has proven one of the things that makes him a very effective negotiator is not revealing what he's anticipating from both sides, but he is at the forefront of these negotiations in addition to the very qualified individuals who he's tasked with speaking to both President Putin and President Zelensky.
Are you not seeing a pattern here?
Yeah.
It seems like this presidency and this office is actually getting stuff done on all fronts of the globe. And a lot of people have something negative to say about it. He's making positive changes in the country, changing, reclaiming stuff that's already been ours, getting hostages releasing, negotiating deals. He's all over the place. Why is he not getting the praise that he deserves? And it's because different news media outlets want to separate this country.
Yeah. I
You know what
agree.
I'm saying? They're literally like trying to turn us against each other when we all need to get on the same
We're all Americans at the end of the day, guys.
it's time, y'all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Don't believe just what you see. Because, like, I'm sure they're going to take whatever he said and try to spin it and make it seem like Trump stopped. He's not stopping nothing. He's been taking care of us. You know, if you find some evidence that says otherwise, point it out to us. But right now, no president that has been around since I have been alive has done more than Trump has done,
Exactly. In a short period of time.
especially in this short. He's making it happen. And why not call it the Gulf of America since that's what it's called now?
And that's what it is.
So, yo,
It,
get in
it, it,
line.
it's been our space, man. So let us know what you guys think, and please, please let us know what you guys think about the Gulf of America.
Yeah, for real. We're going to speak on it.
And check out my channel description, man. We
Make sure
out.
you hit that subscribe button.